This is the morning of the 4th of August, 2024. Clip on MSNBC. And Democrats should not shy away from saying it. Trump gave another reason why he's too old to run for president. It's a 9-minute and 2-second clip, so let's sit back and have a listen.
Meltdown from the ex-president this afternoon, speaking with 3 journalists at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference in Chicago. A conversation that imploded right before our very eyes on live TV, essentially right out of the gates. Trump immediately breaking into a tirade against the first moderator, Rachel Scott of ABC News, who asked him about his past comments on race. And then Trump questioned Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity. Take a listen.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She has always
But
identified as a Black woman.
I respect either
Black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a Black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that, too, when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
I really don't
have
know.
said?
I mean, I really don't know. Could be.
It's amazing he's gotten away with that for as long as he has, but it appears to be over. The 35-minute conversation was like that basically throughout. It remained contentious. Trump even defended his Black jobs comment in a room full of Black journalists.
I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking Black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a Black job, sir?
A Black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
Vice President Kamala Harris's response to all of this: absolute disaster for Donald Trump. This is who he is. A source close to Vice President Harris tells NBC News in response to Trump's claim that she, quote, became Black, quote, "It is simply a lie and easily disproved. She went to Howard, for Christ's sake. She's an AKA," referring, of course, to the historically African-American sorority Alpha Kappa Alpha. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was in the middle of her briefing when Trump's comments were taking place. She first laughed in shock and then said this.
As a person of color, as a Black woman who is in this position that is standing before you at this podium behind this lectern, what he just said, what you just read out to me, is repulsive, it's insulting, and, you know, no one has any right to tell someone who they are, how they identify. That is no one's right. It is someone's own decisions. I'll add this. Only she can speak to her experience. Only she can speak to what it's like. She's the only person that can do that. And I think it's insulting for anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a former leader, a former president. It is insulting. And we have to put, she is the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. We have to put some respect on her name.
Sure, we start today with some of our favorite experts and friends. The Reverend Al Sharpton joins us. He hosts Politics Nation right here on MSNBC. He's also the president of the National Action Network. With me at the table, former senator and co-host of MSNBC's How to Win 2024 podcast. Our friend Claire McCaskill's here. Also joining us, NBC News correspondent Yamiche Alcindor. She was at the convention in Chicago watching Trump's appearance as it took place.
Claire McCaskill's an interesting woman. I recall making videos about her, and she bought an airplane. I think it was a twin-engine airplane, and she charged her constituents every time that airplane went in the air, and she shouldn't have. And nothing ever came of it, like it never does. Remember when Bernie Sanders' wife was being investigated for, I guess, embezzlement at the school that she was working at? Nothing ever came of that either. It all gets swept under the rug. Let's go back.
So our correspondent on the Harris campaign. Yamiche, let me start with you. Just go through, I don't even know how you rank the offenses, not just to the people in the room, but to everybody. But take a stab at it for us.
Look at the eyebrows on this freak that's about to speak. Huh?
Well, I think this was really a remarkable moment in what has been a remarkable campaign season. To see former President Trump in front of a group of Black journalists who invited him to answer questions about policy, about his views on the campaign trail, about his views about America and his vision for the future, and to have him go after Vice President Harris in this way that is really, really questioning her identity, questioning her authenticity, was really, really something to behold. And I think as someone who's covering the Harris campaign, and who has covered, frankly, the vice president when she was a senator way back, more than a decade now, I've been following her work and interviewing her. It's very clear that she's been very, very, very pointed and also very, very articulate when it comes to talking about her background.
Articulate? She's known as word salad, for Christ's sake. Articulate? You got to be shitting me. Please take a look at the eyebrows. Like I said, they look like they're painted on. Those aren't real eyebrow hairs. I mean, look at it. Complete joke. And it wouldn't hurt if she stepped back from the fridge every once in a while, if you know what I mean. Let's go back.
About what she got from her mother and her father being a Black man who was of Jamaican descent, her mother being someone who was Indian. She talks about how that background and her parents meeting as civil rights activists, taking her to protest in a stroller, that she had her identity really, really very clearly understood her identity as from when she was a little girl. So to hear him say that she had been claiming to be only Indian and only now is talking about being African American is just frankly not true, Nicole. She went to a historically Black college. She pledged and joined a historically Black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the first historically African American sorority founded in this country. And she's time and time again throughout her career talked about the importance of racial justice and tying it back to her own identity. So this really is something that I think is, it is really hard to fathom that former President Trump thought that this insult, this attack was going to land. It just doesn't make sense to even say this. And in talking to people, you read some of the reporting that I got. I was sitting in the room and people were stunned, right? I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes. People were stunned. People were gasping. There were some people who were shouting back at him, saying that's a lie. So the room, the atmosphere, I think, was already sort of tense because this is a president that has attacked a number of National Association of Black journalists. There was a lot of questions whether or not he should be invited. Everyone had different opinions. But when he started sort of talking about her race, it really just I think really made the room feel very much like this is a palpable anger from some people. And again, journalists, we're covering him objectively, we're covering him fairly. But I think when you start to say things that are just simply not true and going after someone's Blackness, it really hurts. And I want to just read to you some of the things that I got when I was texting Harris sources. One person said he's completely unhinged. This is Trump. He cannot help himself. As you said, Someone else says this completely insulting and repulsive. Exactly what Karine Jean-Pierre said from the podium. Someone else said it's simply a lie and easily disproven. She went to Howard for Christ's sake. Another person said this is painful. And I think painful might be something that Reverend Sharpton can talk about, because there's a whole history of Black people having to deal with discrimination and having to deal with people taking their lives for their race and who they are. And Vice President Harris has really found herself in the lineage of that. Let's also talk about that. She was at the Selma, Alabama, at the Edmund Pettus Bridge, talking about racial justice, and to have this sort of, there can be policy differences, right? You can have policy differences. You can have different visions of the world. But this attack was just something that was, I think, that was really, really a low bar, even for former President Trump, who has gone very, very much a low bar, gone very much underground in some of the comments he's made about different people.
Well, I don't understand.
All right, so some of the contenders.
What this is all about, and the reason that is what Trump said is the truth. She's Indian. She's not Black. Just like Obama is not Black. He's an Arab. And if anything, he's brown. But he's not Black. He's not African American. It's absolutely insane. I'll attach the link. You look at it. You let me know what you think. You sure as hell know what I think. And do a search on McCaskill. And you'll see how she got away with defrauding her constituents. Absolute joke. They all do it. Only time we find out about it is when they get caught. And even when they get caught, like with Bernie Sanders' wife, it gets swept under the rug. It goes away. There's laws for them and there's laws for us. You think not? Think what you like. I do. I'll attach the link, pass it along, and thanks for listening.